to this week's edition of UAlbany Overtime. I'm Donna Conrad.
And I'm Troy Farkas. Now, you may notice the different name to the show. That is because the school has politely asked us to change the name. President Jones' office is trying to phase out the UA abbreviation. Mike Nolan of the Office of Communications and Marketing says several other schools and colleges use it, so we want to be unique and consistent. And as students of this fine institution, we fully agree with its policies.
Yes, we do. Well, Troy, now on to playoff time, and we had a weekend full of excitement, so let's dive into it. Congratulations to the Great Danes field hockey team, who won its second consecutive America East tournament on Sunday after a win versus Maine. Now let's take a look at how they did it. Here they are, ready to take on the Pacific Tigers. Paolo Hoyser getting ready to go. Early on, Anna Botino uses little fancy stick works to get past two defenders and fires wide left, still no score. A little later, Jacqueline Hibbs finds Rachel Billig, who sneaks it by the goalie. Danes up 1-0, and later in the first half, Fiore Van Rijswijk takes the corner, and Laura Page sets up Hoyser, who dishes it to Botino and knocks it in. Danes up 2-0. Look at that crowd loving the offense. And the Danes would go on to score 3 more to win by a final score of 5-0.
Now to the championship game. UAlbany taking on Maine for the third time this year. In the first, Maxie Primus leaves the goal to save the shot, and she wouldn't be tested much more. Look at Hoyser navigating defense. She gets fouled. Here she sinks the penalty shot, puts the Danes up 1-0. Later in the first, an Anna Botino pass goes to Kelsey Burdell, who fumbles it, but she recovers, puts UAlbany ahead 2, and that is all they would need. UAlbany wins 2-0. Taking a look at some tournament awards, the champs claimed 3 first-teamers. Fiore Van Rijswijk, along with Jacqueline Hibbs, make the team. Paolo Hoyser on the team also.
Anna Botino.
That's right, the most outstanding player award goes to Anna Botino, and she deserved it. Botino played an incredible tournament. And here's the captains holding the most important trophy before bringing it back to their team. The UAlbany field hockey team, America East champions once again.
We had some injuries. We had 2 ACLs during preseason, and we didn't know where we would be. And to evolve and to get to where we are, it's been a pretty interesting run.
Now, the same night they won, the Danes found out they earned the 8th seed in the NCAA tournament and will face off versus Boston College Saturday at UConn.
Another congratulations to the women's soccer team for winning its first ever America East Championship 2-1 over Hartford. The second-seeded Danes won 2-1 in the semis, sending them to their first ever America East title game. There, they would take on the number 1 seed Hartford, who knocked them out of the tournament last year. After being down 1-0 late in the game, the team scored 2 goals in the last 8 minutes to win the tournament. Senior Kelly Camp was named the tournament MVP, and the Danes will head to Penn State on Friday to take on the Nittany Lions. UAlbany enters the NCAA tournament, winning their last 5 games, 2 of them in comeback fashion. Now here's what senior Krista Fitzpatrick had to say about the team heading into the tournament.
I mean, I was in panic mode. We knew that we had to get a goal to tie the game to go into overtime, so once that first goal went in, at that point we knew then and there that we were going to win this game. It was absolutely crazy. Everyone was screaming. We were all just so excited. Everyone was hugging. Some people were crying. It was really crazy. My goal when I first got to Albany was to just get at least 1 ring, and it's awesome. It took 4 years, but we finally got it. So win or lose, it's going to be a success just making it into the NCAA tournament. We're so excited. It's a great opportunity, and even when we find out we're playing a 1 seed, we're still really excited. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Everyone, you can't have one person slacking off. It's going to have to be a group effort if we want to compete in this game. We have a game plan in place, and we're just going to execute it as best as possible, and on any given day, anything could happen.
Taking a look at the men's side now, the regular season champion Great Danes recorded a program record number of 3 all-conference first-team selections when the conference announced its regular season awards. Leading the pack for the team is striker Alfonso Pinero, who was given the award for Striker of the Year. He was a co-Rookie of the Year winner last year and is the first men's player in UAlbany history to win consecutive major awards. Looking ahead at the playoffs, after beating Binghamton in a winner-take-all match, the UAlbany men earned its first ever regular season conference title just a week ago. And with the number 1 seed, Trevor Gorman's squad will face Binghamton tonight.
And now looking at volleyball, the Great Danes had a great week, taking sole possession of first place after wins against Stony Brook and UMBC. They will head into the final match of the season against UMass Lowell with a current record of 10-1 in the conference play. Let's take a look at their most recent win against UMBC. UAlbany hosting UMBC, and here's Zoya Trendafilova spiking one into the net. UAlbany would win the first set 25-13. Second set, Lainey Lanedecker bumps it over to Michaela McCauley, who sets it up for Amanda Dolan with the spike. Later in the set, Dolan blocks the spike by Mackenzie Morgan, and the Danes win the second set 25-22. And on to the third set, UAlbany looks to seal the deal, and the spike from Lindsay Wheeler does just that. UAlbany would take the third set 25-16 to sweep the Retrievers. Now here's what assistant coach Josh Picard had to say looking towards the upcoming tournament.
So the team's playing well together, and our ball control has really kept us in most of these matches. And we got one left. We get to go on the road to Lowell next week, come back home, and wait and see who hosts the tournament. It's down to some tiebreakers if everything holds the way it is right now, and we're excited to see where we get to play.
And now switching over to women's golf, as their fall season concluded, Annie Lee was named MAC Golfer of the Month for the second time this season. Lee has been a standout in the conference, and here's what she had to say about the honor.
Feels fantastic. I wasn't really expecting it at all, but I played pretty good this fall. Had 2 wins, and my average scores were really low. Just gives me the confidence to play better and motivates me to practice harder. I think it's just the mental part. The technical parts like my swing and everything, it's about the same. But how I play the game is a little bit different. I have more confidence in the course, and I think that has really helped me play better. I like to practice 3 or 4 hours every single day, and I think it has helped me to be more consistent on the course.
Thank you, Annie, for speaking with us. You are watching UAlbany Overtime, and we'll be right back.
After 3 consecutive losses for the Great Danes, quarterback DJ Crook was benched for freshman Nevin Sussman, who was given the start against Richmond 2 games ago. Coming off a bye week, the Danes needed to make some serious changes if they wanted to be competitive against the Spiders, and they did just that. The team trailed by 28 points in the third quarter, and things did not look promising, but the momentum swung in their favor, and the Danes scored 21 unanswered points. Later in the fourth quarter, the Spiders' defense was able to hold on to seal the victory, and their 31 points against Richmond, however, is more than the team has scored in their previous 4 games combined. Now, rolling off the momentum from the Richmond game, UAlbany took on the University of Delaware in a conference match on Saturday. The team picked up their 3rd win of the season despite the injury to Sussman early in the first quarter. DJ Crook rushed for a career high of 134 yards on 13 carries, including a career-long 63-yard run. The defense continued to prove themselves, marking their best performance of the season. Albany held the Blue Hens to a season low of 224 yards on offense while recovering 3 fumbles. Malachi Hoskins led the team with 9 tackles, including 2 sacks and a forced fumble, and respectively was named CAA Defensive Player of the Week.
Now taking a look at CAA standings, now at 3-6 overall, the win puts UAlbany 1 spot above the team they just beat, the Delaware Blue Hens. Not exactly the place they wanted to be this year, but injuries and unforeseen circumstances have put Greg Gattuso's team toward the bottom again in his 2nd season. If you remember, Josh Gontarek was indefinitely suspended by the team in late October following an arrest for marijuana possession and evidence tampering. Now the whole school has been wondering when the sophomore standout would return. Gattuso has confirmed the wide receiver will not return to the team this season. His future at UAlbany is undecided.
On a positive note, UAlbany football alum Brian Parker made his first NFL start with the Kansas City Chiefs in London against the Detroit Lions on November 1st. Parker signed with the Chargers after going undrafted, but was waived and picked up by the Chiefs. On this play here, you can see him making a key block to set up a touchdown run.
Now going over to the hardwood, men's basketball. To stick with the exciting stuff, basketball season is so close we can taste it. Fresh off regular and postseason conference titles, the Danes are looking to continue their success. But the men will have to do so without Sam Rowley, the big man that led the team in scoring and rebounding a season ago. But the good news, they return the rest of the starting crew, including Peter Hooley, who is back for his 5th year. The Australian is joined by guards Ray Sanders and Evan Singletary, who will certainly be a big part of the team's success. Now the team welcomes 3 freshmen, including local standout Joe Cremo. The Danes are also excited about the arrival of transfer Travis Charles, a 6'6" Brooklyn native who is working his way back from some cardiovascular issues. The team tips off its season this Friday in Lexington to take on the star-studded Kentucky Wildcats.
And now switching over to the women's team. The Great Danes have become an America East powerhouse over the past few years, and after a 24-9 season last year, the women look to put up even better numbers against another tough schedule. The team does lose 2 key members, Sarah Royals and Margarita Rosario, but they are returning standouts Sharisa Richards and Imani Tate, who will continue to be playmakers on the court. The team will bring back 6 other returners and welcome 5 newcomers as they enter the season. The Danes will be looking for their 5th consecutive America East title and another chance to make some noise in the NCAA tournament. The team will open up at home against Pepperdine next Sunday and will be taking on the Tennessee Lady Vols and the USC Trojans in the coming weeks. And now let's bring in WCDB sports analyst Zach Horwitz to break this all down for us. Thank you, Zach, for being here with us today. So let's get started with men's. The first game against Kentucky, what do the Danes have to do to contend, really?
I mean, it's not. I think for the Great Danes, it's not about contending as much as it is about gaining momentum. I think if they can score the basketball consistently, obviously Kentucky's known for their defense. Maybe it's somewhat of a trap game because Kentucky's lost a lot of guys to the draft, but they seem to do that year in and year out, so I think they're used to it at this point. It's not about contending. I think it's more about just keeping good momentum, getting the backcourt working. I think that's the strength of UAlbany this year. I think Evan Singletary, Ray Sanders, and of course Peter Hooley are going to be the strength of these Great Danes, so it'd be nice to see them getting going and shooting the basketball.
So who do you think is going to be the key player for this game? Who needs to perform really well for UAlbany to contend with Kentucky?
Yeah, I think Coach Brown has been saying it this entire offseason. I think it's going to be Evan Singletary. He said Evan Singletary has the ability and the opportunity to be the best player in the league beyond Jamil Warney. Obviously, Jamil Warney has been the guy year in and year out dominating the America East, especially as the player of the year. But I think this is the year that Evan Singletary has an opportunity to come in and score a lot of points. Last year, especially when Peter Hooley was gone, he was running a lot of minutes. So I think this year you're going to see Evan Singletary run again a lot of minutes. I think he's going to be the main scorer as opposed to Peter Hooley. So I see Evan Singletary having a big day.
Now, UAlbany, they've won several America East titles in a row, regular season and in the playoffs. But again, they are not picked to win the conference. Why is that?
I think year in and year out, we still see Stony Brook as the most talented team in the America East, but at the same time, at the end of the day, the Great Danes are the best team in the America East. Pound for pound, team chemistry, Coach Brown's the best coach, hands down. I think that's the reason why UAlbany's going to win again, but I think we still got Jamil Warney out in Stony Brook. It's kind of hard not to put them number one. Losing Sam Rowley obviously is a big hurt for us, I think. This year, I think a lot of people are wondering how UAlbany is going to get the same kind of rebound production that they will. Obviously, it's going to come off his brother, who's going to need to step up big time this year. But if they can replace Sam Rowley with Mike Rowley, I think it's easy to say UAlbany will win the conference again.
Now, Zach, you talked about Coach Brown. All the success he's had at UAlbany, he got some pretty big offers over the summer. A few in the Atlantic 10, which is a lot better conference than the America East. Why did he come back? Why did he turn those down?
I think he loves being here. I think this is the team and the community he built. And I also think those offers weren't big enough for him. I think for him to really, truly want to leave UAlbany, he's got to get a great offer. I think for him it's like, well, if I'm here at UAlbany, I love this place, I don't want to leave. So I really need an offer that I can't refuse. And I think that's going to come maybe from a bigger conference team, right? You got one from Fordham, I believe.
Yes, Fordham.
So the money's there, but I think for him, in order to leave this situation, in order for him to leave the place he loves, he's going to need an offer that's going to have to exceed. You can't say no to it.
Now let's talk about some of the newcomers that he brought in. We talked about Joe Cremo before. How do you see them playing a role this year in, obviously with the loss of Sam Rowley?
Right.
How will they come in and, aid the loss of him?
Yeah, well, I think Coach Brown's a veterans guy, so I don't know if he's really going to throw him into the fire out early. He's never been the type of guy to really give freshmen and sophomores, unless they're really, seeding with talent, that opportunity. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of them, especially in the backcourt. I don't think you're going to see Joe Cremo a lot this year, as much as UAlbany natives would love to see him out and playing. But I don't see a way where UAlbany. I think UAlbany has a lot of guys in the front court as well who have been kind of waiting to get their turn. Guys like Greg Steyer, guys like Mike Rowley, Richard Peters. Let's see if he can step up this year. I think he's a guy with a ton of talent, ton of size, but has had a hard time getting to the pace of the game, especially at D1 basketball. So I do think, though, that those guys get more opportunities this year. I think he runs a lot of minutes, around like 8-guy rotations, not going too deep in the rotation unless he has to.
Now, we lost Rowley last year. He was a guy who was undersized for his position, but just played with so much heart. It was a tenacious rebounder.
Yeah.
We're undersized again. You know, Peters is the outlier here. But do we have those guys that can bang down low and get rebounds, especially against teams like Kentucky?
You know, I wish I could say yes, but I don't know that answer yet. I think it's going to have to come down to certain guys stepping up. I think Greg Steyer is going to have to be a guy who's going to have to replace on the rebound side of things. I think Dallas Enema is going to have to step up, kind of be a stretch forward in that sense, and step up a little more and get more rebounds. Richard Peters, if he can turn into a guy who gets the game a little more, he can use his size and strength and kill, the offensive glass and the defensive glass. He's a big guy, 6'11". Jameel Warner is only 6'8", so even though Jameel Warner obviously the superior talent, if Richard Peters can step up his game, he can win on the defensive and offensive glass.
All right, so now let's take a look at the women's team. So their loss against Duke last year in the tournament was a real tough loss, but they played to the last second. How do we see that game translating into season momentum this year with some big teams that they're going to play?
Yeah, I think with the women's team, you never have to worry, never have to fear. I think, great coach, and then the team, I think, with Amani Tate coming back, Sharissa Richards, all these kind of players are really going to make sure that UAlbany stays relevant, especially in the regular season. I assume that they will run right through the regular season for sure. And, going into those playoff games, coming into those big games, I don't think they're looking to win those games as much as they're looking to stay competitive in those games and stay strong in those games. I think, though, the women, this may be the year that they get over the top. They've been so close in years past and beating teams in the NCAA tournament. I think if they get the right matchup, I think that's where they kind of succeed. I think they should have definitely beat Duke. They had the right matchup against Duke, just couldn't finish it off. And I think that's the hardest part when you're a team like UAlbany trying to play these teams that are ultra talented and ultra well coached. I mean, it's so hard to stop a fourth quarter run. I think this happens in all over basketball. Teams that are really strong, really have good chemistry, a lot of good players, they'll start out the gate really well. And then when it comes to just those ultra talented teams, they can't make those final stops in the fourth quarter. So, I think last year they showed a lot of heart and a lot of talent, which I think is kind of what's propelling them to become a big-time women's basketball powerhouse.
Now, you talked about some of the key players they're bringing back, Sharissa Richards, Amani Tate. Let's talk about Sharissa Richards a little bit. I mean, this was an All-American last year. What is it about her that she does so well? Why does she dominate these games?
She just grinds. I mean, if I had to compare her to somebody else in the NBA center, she's like Zach Randolph. She just grinds. She works hard for every single bucket she gets. She gets to the glass. She's the kind of player that just really plays angry. She's angry at you when she plays. So for her, I think she takes that mentality, brings it to the court, and is also pretty efficient too. So I think Sharissa Richards has just ultra talent, ultra drive, and I really like what we're going to see out of her this year.
Now, do you see any players to watch? I know last year, Cassandra Edwards, Tiana Jo Carter, Erin Coughlin. I mean, they're all obviously important parts of the team. So who's going to step up this year?
I mean, I can't give you a definitive answer on who's exactly going to step up. I think definitely UAlbany has been a team. The women's side have been a team of its star players. So I definitely see just massive numbers coming out of Amani Tate and Sharissa Richards.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, Zach. We'll hear you on WCDB calling some games this season, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, definitely. Thank you, Zach. We'll be right back. You're watching UAlbany Overtime. Welcome back to UAlbany Overtime. Now, before the field hockey team takes on Boston College this Saturday, let's take a look back at the team's journey up to this point.
UAlbany made a magical run to the Final Four last year before losing to UConn.
It's in the back of all of our minds.
To get there again, the team knew it wouldn't be an easy road back.
We're still the outsiders. This year was a lot harder with like 4 teams joining us from the West Coast.
UAlbany played tougher non-conference teams to look better to the NCAA.
We tried to set up our schedule this year, so it was a lot of tough teams, and win or lose, we would have a very good RPI.
But after a blowout loss at Maine, the season was at a crossroads.
It was a good wake-up moment in the season when they just kind of thumped us at their place. We've been actually using that every single game, and I think it's helped us stay focused, to evolve, and to get to where we are. It's been a pretty interesting run.
And it continued. The Danes won the America East tournament in dominating fashion.
That's what you work towards all season long. And I'm just so happy right now. Couldn't be any happier.
But a more daunting task lay ahead.
The NCAA is a very difficult tournament to play in. Every team is great. Every game could be your last game.
The team is confident they're up to the task.
The familiarity for our team, they know what's coming. This one I think is a very mature group, and I think they know what it takes and the commitment, the dedication, and all those things to get back to that place where we got to the Final Four last year, and that kind of dreamlike season. I think they want to relive that.
And how do you do that, Anna Botino?
We did a little dancing in the locker room.
No, but seriously.
Chemistry. We focus on it and we take pride in it, and it helps on the field and off the field.
It is that chemistry which may propel this team to another Final Four run. For UAlbany Overtime, I'm Troy Farkas. Back to you, Donna.
So, Troy, before we go, let's talk about our favorite Great Dane, JP.
Oh, JP. Yeah, Donna. JP Hansinger is, of course, the 12-year-old with Niemann-Pick type C disease. Now, he was given an honorary scholarship by head coach Will Brown last year and helped out with the lacrosse team as well. The men's basketball and lacrosse teams helped raise awareness and research funds for Hansinger's disease at the Wide World of Sports event a few days ago.
Now, this past weekend, UAlbany hosted its annual Superhero Sprint 5K. Many were in attendance, and here's the men's lacrosse team showing their support in the run. A lot of runners were dressed in superhero attire as well. And lastly, before basketball season begins, the America East is having a little fun with the hashtag OurHouseRules. And as a friendly competition before the real competition starts, teams have been doing trick shots. So let's take a look at Peter Hooley's trick shot.
Hi, I'm Peter Hooley from UAlbany, and this is my house shot. Hey Binghamton, you think you can make that shot? Good luck.
Wow, that was some cool stuff. But that is all the time we have for this episode of UAlbany Overtime. Be sure to tune in next episode for playoff updates and basketball results. For UAlbany Overtime, I'm Trey Farkas.
And I'm Donna Conrad. Good night and go Danes.